Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, gratefully recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. How y'all doing today, guys? Kind of a cold, raw, rainy day in Boston here today. Not the best weather. But end up having a good day regardless of that, right? We just, we're having a late winter or spring, waiting for spring to kick in. I thought it was here last week. Really looking forward to some better weather, but you know what? We'll just be patient, and it is what it is. Dress accordingly and go out and do my work, right? So yeah, all in all, pretty good day today, guys. So I get something itching my eye. Just knocking out service calls. I was gonna start a bigger deck project today, but with the weather not being great, I put that off till tomorrow because it looks like a better day. And more work coming in. I went and helped my sponsor out, and then a friend called and he needed some work done in his car, so I did that, and I've had a really good day. I was actually really excited. I check my online banking, daily because there's so many scams out there these days, and I hit a huge milestone today, and I won't throw figures out, but I didn't even realize it because I got a couple accounts. So when I did the math on the totals on the accounts, so it's a number that I didn't dream I'd ever see. So that's a good feeling, and that's recovery today, guys. Not every day has to be something earth-shattering, but every day I have a contentment, a sense of accomplishment. More customers are calling all the time. I'm getting booked and busy. I'm sticking up for myself. I had a customer today called. He's been hounding me to get me to do a job up in Lawrence, and it's two big rooms that got moldy drywall, and I gotta go. He wants me to drive to Lawrence, take down two ceilings, get rid of it, fix whatever strapping underneath, and then new drywall the ceiling. And he's been hounding me to do it. It's not a job I really want to do. And when I gave him a ballpark price today, he tried to complain, and I'm like, we'll talk about it later. Because again, I'm not gonna move on it. I don't have to today. Like, I don't want to do the job, and if it's not going to pay me I got to pay. That's a job I got to have somebody else working with me, which is the only reason I'll take it on, because I can help somebody else that I've got a couple friends that are looking for work, but like I don't have to get beat up by people, and I'm being fair, so I know I'm within the ballpark. That's the beauty, guys. 2 years ago, I'd be doing that job for a quarter of what I quoted them today. And today, if I'm not going to get paid fairly, I don't have to do the job, and that's the progression of recovery. As we travel the road to recovery, we get more confident, providing we're being fair, and I'm always incredibly fair. And you get more options, and I love the fact that I'm actually in a position that I get to pick and choose what job. And it's not about glamorous jobs, because for the same customer, I'm going to go do a job Monday at another property he owns where he's got raw sewage coming out of the floor, and it's going to be nasty. I'm going to be Tyvek'd up and respirated, and it's disgusting, but it's a job that needs to get done, and he'll pay me accordingly. And I do that because it's one of my services I offer. It's not a job I want to do either, but it's a necessity, and he won't question me on my price on that. But so there's a give and take to everything, but I'm learning these things as I travel the road to recovery, and I'm also building better relationships. I'm building financial security. I mean, I'm about to hit unbelievable. It's absolutely beautiful. But anyway, traveling the road to recovery is the title of the reading. We're gonna get into it before I talk for an hour. Go ahead, guys. So, traveling the road. It's the Just for Today NA meditation, by the way, guys. Traveling the road to recovery. This is our road to spiritual growth. When we arrived at our first recovery meeting, it felt like the end of the road to many of us. We weren't going to be able to use anymore. We were spiritually bankrupt. Most of us were totally isolated and did not think we had much to live for. That's pretty much exactly how I felt, guys. Little did we realize that as we began our program of recovery, we were stepping onto a road of unlimited possibilities. And that's exactly how I feel today. At first, just not using was tough enough. Yet, as we watched other addicts work in the steps and applying these principles in their lives, we begin to see recovery was more than just not using. The lives of our recovering friends had changed. They had a relationship with the God of their understanding. They were responsible members of the fellowship and of society. They had a reason to live. So we begin to believe that these things are possible for us too, and they are. As we continue our recovery journey, we can get sidetracked by complacency, intolerance, or dishonesty. When we do, we need to recognize the signs quickly and get back on our path, the open road to freedom and growth. And the affirmation is just for today. I am continuing to develop my spiritual, social, and general living skills by applying the principles of my recovery program. I can travel as far as I wish on the open road to recovery. And guys, that is a perfect synopsis of where I'm at and how I feel in my life today. And that is one of the most amazing things I've ever been able to say. I've talked enough about my story. You guys heard it a million times, but the bottom line is, I was walking active addiction and alcoholism for almost 40 years. Well, really 40 years. I stacked a lot of losses. It was a lot of hopelessness, a lot of despair. And the thing of it is, by doing that over and over again, so excuse me, guys, allergies are brutal today. I'm not getting choked up. I just dry throat. By stacking those losses over and over and just failing over and over and thinking I'm trying something different, but now that I look at it, I wasn't, because I wasn't trying recovery. I was in a state of hopelessness. And that was one of the biggest gifts, because finally, because I'm a pretty capable person, and I'm a pretty strong-willed person, and I don't give up easily. But it brought me to my knees, and on my own, I could not do it. The gift of desperation and the gift of hopelessness got me to finally look outside of myself, to realize there had to be something more in this world that could offer me help. And it brought me to a place that I said a prayer openly and honestly. And it was actually at the request of somebody else, but it absolutely changed my life. And again, it wasn't the big light bulb moment. I didn't get up the next day and say, this is all terrible, I got to go to rehab. But it got me to acknowledge just the state of ridiculousness, the hopelessness of just the fact that I could not go on. And never mind, guys, I look back now and I look at pictures of myself at that point. And even at my sponsor, and I look talking about it, like, dude, you were literally knocking at death's door. I was a shell. I was withering away. I was incredibly unhealthy, and my body was starting to shut down. I came in at the very last minute. That was my internal rock bottom. But regardless, I only bring this up to say that I was put on the fast track immediately, because the first thing, before I even started my recovery program, I invited a higher power into my life. Then it was the signs and messages I was receiving from my higher power that got me into rehab. Although, honestly, because I was getting a lot of signs just to put down the drugs, I wasn't being told to go to rehab. I was getting told to put down the drugs. I tried to detox here at home because I thought that I had the spiritual, inside track, which I did. But my brain was pretty messed up, and I was still pretty addled at that point. So I laid in bed for 2.5, almost 3 days. Hadn't had so much as a drink of water. Was just laying in a pool of filth. And I was about to die. And thank God my higher power saw this and sent somebody in to look on me and blah, blah, blah. I ended up in rehab the next day. I was incredibly fortunate that I had the spiritual inside track. I was talking to my higher power and asking for the proper things. Not to get me out of a situation, not to, make me a millionaire, not for shiny trinkets, as I always say, but asking for spiritual help, for spiritual growth. And immediately, I knew right off the bat, at one of the first workshops we did, it came to me, this is, for myself at least, this is a spiritual malady. I needed a spiritual remedy. So the first book I read was a book on scientific prayer, and that put me right on the road. But again, not understanding this is it's a spiritual, emotional, physical addiction. It's a spiritual, emotional, physical, mental disease. I needed a spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional cure, which meant a recovery program. So I did really well in the rehab. I was a shining star, even though I was getting choked up every day, dealing with, processing feelings for the first time, starting to feel hopeful, which was great, but it was overwhelming. I get out, and I wasn't acknowledging that I needed to go find an outside group, because I thought if I was going to do the IOP and I was hooked up with my doctors at the OBAC clinic, I'd be okay. I could go back to my job, and I would have failed miserably. There was a terrible place. It was a toxic environment, but I had nothing to base that on. So I needed a recovery group around me, and immediately, again, God shots every way. When you invite a higher power into your life, and then you pay attention. The most amazing signs and just coincidences, if you want to call them that, and they're anything but they're God shots, and God will put the right people. I was home not the next morning, right? I was speaking with some family, and I slipped the night before, so it dawned on me. I'm like, I need to build a recovery network. I got everything I have in my world is trash. It's all a drug fueled. Everybody knew was drug dealers, drug users. Everybody I worked with was. I'm like, I need to find some sober people to be around. Well, where are you going to find sober people? Recovery network. So I stepped outside my door, and I'm on the phone talking about this, and my neighbor walks by who's in the program, and I knew this. Grabbed him, hey buddy, I just got out of rehab last night. And he's like, oh my God, good for you. I'm like, I need a good meeting. Come with me, I'll take you to the noontime group, and that's my home group. I went there that day and fell in love with that meeting. Everything put in front of me, because again, I was seeking a spiritual cure. And that's what I focused on, my recovery and my spiritual, my spiritual hygiene, growing my spiritual relationship. And because I've done those, guys, I've sought to be the best version of myself through obedience to my higher power and doing the right thing because it was the right thing to do. Those are my two biggies. Like, those are my number one and number two and interchangeable. And that's what I put my focus on, because I knew that's where all my answers lie. So if you're early in recovery and you're overwhelmed and you don't know what steps to take and you don't know what the direction to turn, build your relationship with your higher power. Get into a good recovery group. I don't care if it's AA, NA, I'm a member of both. Sometimes you say, people, you can't be one or the other. It's nonsense. And if you find a group that insists upon that, then start looking for another group. I chair an AA meeting, even though I'm primarily an addict, and I identify as such. But they're interchangeable. Alcohol is a drug. Substitute. Don't get so hung up on the terminology that you miss the message. That's one important thing. And so find a good group, because you'll surround yourself with not only the solution and people doing the right thing, people with the similar experiences and similar solutions, but camaraderie and people that will love you until you can learn to love yourself. And you can learn to love yourself. If I can learn to love myself, anybody can. Because I had a deep, deep, deep hatred of myself. I thought I was mentally disabled. I thought I was a criminal. And yet I had all these good feelings inside, and I just ignored them. And when they weren't at the forefront of things, I couldn't focus on them. Guys, I'm well on my way to being a major success story in this program. And I don't say that cockily. I say that humbly and full of gratitude. And it's because I've done the work. That's the one thing I can say really, really well, is I've made my life. And again, maybe it was easy for me because I burnt everything else to the ground. Other people have family that they gotta. I have family in my life today, but I didn't when I was in addiction. So my family is only supportive. Because again, that's the other thing, guys. Detachment's incredible, and sometimes the wreckage of our past is terrible. You can't let those things hold you back. You do your fourth step, and then you make your amends in your eighth step when appropriate. But don't sit there and let anybody hold your past over you, providing you're not making those mistakes. Here's the thing, guys. We get into recovery, we start acting better. That's why we got to do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. And when you do so over and over again, the best amends you're going to make is living a good life. If you're still out there ripping, robbing, and scheming and being dishonest and disillusioned, then you're not working recovery. And you got to be honest with yourself. Work your program. Follow apply these principles in all areas of your life, and you'll live a good life. You will start traveling the road to recovery, the road to spiritual growth, which is the road to freedom. It may take time. I'm so excited. In these next couple of weeks, I'm going to put the last vestige of my wreckage of my past behind me, and there's other steps. And as I do so, I will invite you, I will inform, and I will share it online. But I can't speak of things before I do them, and I'm not trying to put the cart in front of the horse. But this is a milestone that my brother and I were talking last week, and he's like, you remember 10 years ago when you got into recovery? We talked about this, and you said you'd never be able to do it. And I meant it, and I was doing well at that point. But I thought it was so overwhelming. It was something I would never be physically capable of doing. And it's taken me almost a full year. I think it was July or August of last year when I started this project. And here we are in almost May. And I still got a couple of T's and a couple of to cross and a couple of I's to dot. but I have them bought, paid for, and scheduled, and I just got to sit through the classes, and I'll be done. And it comes with a huge chunk, a huge bill, but I don't have to borrow that today. I have it in the bank. I've got 10 times that in the bank. I have enough to do that and then still go out and buy a house. That's because I'm well on my way to spiritual growth and freedom. I have freedom. I have a freedom I've never known before. I'm on the road to recovery, and finally, I used to think I'd travel the road to recovery and I'd get somewhere. That would be the destination. No, the road to recovery is ever changing, and it doesn't end. As long as I'm alive and I'm spiritually progressing, I will stay on this road to recovery, and therefore I will continue to build this beautiful life and beautiful relationships and bring in beautiful opportunities and new rewards and new relationships and all these beautiful things. But if I start to get complacent and think recovery doesn't need to be practiced daily, if I start to get dishonest with myself and start slipping backwards, I step off the road and I stop growing spiritually and I stop enjoying freedom. And I know what's waiting for me back there. And this is why I get up here and do a video every single day, no matter how tired I am, no matter that nobody's watched yesterday's video yet. No, I do my due diligence. I do my recovery. I put my work in and day out, and therefore my life continues to progress. I look at the opportunities coming up in just the next couple of months. I look at the way that I've grown as a person, the way that I react to situations. At the end of the day today, I'm proud every day, because every day I see something that is completely different than it was 2 years ago, and I know that I'm on my road to recovery, and I'm still experiencing spiritual growth, and that is the most beautiful, satisfying feeling I've ever known. Guys, follow the road to recovery. Watch out for complacement. Make sure you have your willingness. Stay away from dishonesty. It's only you. We think we go out and we be dishonest to cover something that we don't want seen, and it's glaringly obvious. That's the most amusing thing to me today. I had a different story and compartmentalize everything, thinking one person thought, and everything I did was as transparent as could be. Everybody saw through my nonsense, and I let go of my nonsense, and I am transparent today. And it's why I'm received the way I am everywhere I go, because like it or not, I do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and I practice rigorous honesty because it's my life that's at stake. And because I do, I'm received in a way I never dreamed I would be. I was, again, the police officer who's working on a house I was working last week reached out to me today. Hey, are you coming this weekend to rebuild my deck? Are you coming next week to finish this job? Like, she's offering more and more work. It's a beautiful feeling. Like, there was no cop in the world 2 years ago that would have invited me in their house. But that's what you find on the road to spiritual growth and freedom and recovery. Opportunities and new experiences that you never dreamed you'd be capable of. And I get them today because I'm capable and I've earned them. And that's the other thing we do, guys. We out and we do good things. We earn good rewards. Guys, that's the video for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.